Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 6 of the Serious Football Heads podcast. Today, we are going to be talking about the news of week 1 and part of week two's preseason, as well as any news and events that have come up since then. Today, as always, with me is Tom. Tom, how are you doing today?
Hey, excellent. I hope everybody's enjoying the beginning of the preseason. We're getting moving closer and closer to that miraculous opening day. It's only, I think, 3 weeks away. So I'm sure you're all excited as I am.
Oh, I am too. I just started watching week 1 preseason games today, doing the condensed mode on the NFL Game Pass. And it's got a lovely feature where I can watch 4 games at once.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a little hard to keep track of them all, so I
I was
got
going to
it down
say,
to
I have
2.
trouble. I don't, I, That's why I hate going to casinos because there's too much information. And all I end up seeing is a bunch of guys getting up after a play. And then I look, oh, and they're getting up after a play. They're getting up after a play.
Yeah,
So
I
it's hard to
totally
maintain focus on one game.
I totally understand that. I can normally watch if I don't have any sound. Like I'll turn the sound down on all the games, and I'll just watch bits and pieces of each one. But you don't get a full idea of what's going on. So I watched obviously the Seahawks game today because Seahawks fan, and then I started watching some of the Chargers and other games as well. So
I watched the preseason. I was at Charger training camp yesterday, so I got a chance, and they had a joint practice with the New Orleans Saints. So it was a really great day to be there. We got to see first teamers against first teamers. There was a really spirited competition between Rivers and Breeze throughout the afternoon. That was a lot of fun.
I can't
At one
imagine
point,
why.
yeah, at one point, Rivers hit a deep pass for a touchdown, and he runs to the other side of the field, and you can see him screaming at Breeze, and Breeze is like, "Ah, shut up, get out of here, go away." He's got a big smile on his face. It was really a lot of fun to watch. And I'll tell you, the thing about the preseason, like the Charger game, first week, they came out and they did everything that I love to see in a preseason game. They were efficient. They moved the ball down the field. There was no three and outs, three and outs, three and outs, which drive me insane in any game. And those are the things that I look for when I'm watching a preseason game. Does everybody know what they're doing? Okay. Can you catch the ball? Biggest thing that, a friend of mine looked at me yesterday as I screamed, "Catch the damn ball!" They said that's going to be on your tombstone. Um, and and I was very pleased with what I saw on both sides of the ball with the Chargers last week. I'm more excited to see it this week. And actually, yesterday was the what I got to see because Breeze and Rivers aren't going to play on Sunday,
Oh
and
yeah,
and half of the starters aren't going to play. Um, so I'm excited about that. But watching them practice at this point, particularly against the Saints, who are equally as efficient as the Chargers are at this point in
yeah,
time, it was a really intriguing practice to watch and a very encouraging practice to watch, both if you're a Saints fan and if you're a Charger fan.
yeah. I wish I could see more of that here in Seattle. Would the teams come up, maybe do a joint practice, beforehand, like a couple
Do
days
they do?
before.
Have the Seahawks don't generally do that, do they?
No, they don't. Um, but what I saw of the Seahawks game, oh, it looks like Seahawks of old of last year too. I think there was a series where they had 4 offensive penalties. They were like,
See, that's what I hate. I hate that when that's such a red flag for me when I'm watching preseason.
however, what I did enjoy seeing is Geno Smith does look rusty. He's not,
Oh my God, you have Geno Smith. I forgot.
but we also have
I'm so
Paxton Lynch.
sorry.
We also have Paxton Lynch.
That's a better choice.
It is, and you saw that on Thursday's game. I'm interested to see what they do Sunday and who's playing when and how long.
I'll
Um,
tell you, Geno's been spent the last 2 years with the Chargers, and the perfect microcosm of his entire time there was last year in the Arizona game. Philip Rivers went 28 of 29, set an NFL record for completions, consecutive completions. They pulled him out of the game. They put Geno Smith in. He went 0 for 5 against the same defense.
mm,
So that says it all as far as I'm concerned, where Geno Smith is.
yeah, I wasn't impressed, but I wasn't worried as much. With it being the first preseason game, I generally don't worry too much about the quarterback play, but it was telling to see the difference between the two quarterbacks. Um, like I said, I saw a bit of the Chargers game. Um, wasn't too bad. Wasn't too great from what I saw. Again, I just kind of had sensory overload at that point.
Yeah, no, they came out. The Arizona quarterback, Kyler Murray, went 5 for 5, or 5 for 6, something like 6 or 7,
Yeah,
I think. And the one incompletion was because the receiver stepped out of bounds before, and then came back in and caught the ball. But and everyone was thrilled with that, which was great. But it
yeah,
was 6 for 7 for 44 yards and a punt. And
yeah.
apparently they played yesterday. I did not get to see the game yet, and he had a much rougher outing yesterday, from what I understand.
Well, I haven't had a chance to watch any of this week's games, but there is a game that um, has been in the news today about the Cincinnati Bengals and Washington game. Did you hear about that?
I have not heard about that. What is
Okay.
it?
The NFL explains the controversial offensive pass interference call against the Skins. Let me switch over to the news page here and switch over to so you can see me presenting the screen too. Because you're going to watch this video like I did, and you're probably going to be like, well, I won't even color it for you. How about that? I'll
Okay,
let
hold
you.
on. I'm not seeing anything yet here.
Neither is anybody else. Don't
Oh,
worry.
well, there you go. Okay, now I got it.
Nope, that's not what I want. Cancel. I didn't set the window before I came into this, so there we go. So this is from the Twitter of the NFL officiating. Okay,
Okay.
I'm going to move this over here so that way I don't get it in the way. Now, what they were saying is that you don't see it on the TV broadcast of why the offensive pass interference is called. So that's why they have the TV broadcast as the big, and then they have the non-TV broadcast
Okay.
here. Okay. There it goes. Now, what they're saying,
Looked like he put a fist in his face.
yeah, if you watch at about the 50,
Right here.
yeah, right there. It's a little shove off, is what they're calling it.
Yep.
Now, to me, I understand, and the official made the call. That's fine. That's great. Uphold the call. But that was a ticky tack call. You know what I mean?
Well, okay, but it's,
Now, like I said, they called it.
it's like when you go to traffic court and you say, "But officer, I was only doing 37 and a 35." And he says, "What's the speed limit?" It's 35, and you were
Oh
going
no,
over
I
the
I
speed
agree with
limit.
it. I agree with it.
You know, um, and and so what was the controversy about?
It's the fact that they called it, but nobody on the TV broadcast or the fans could see it, and the call was confirmed during a television break.
Okay,
So, like I said, it's it's not that it's not that bad. Here's the
Yard penalty
TV
and second down.
broadcast of it.
The
They were talking
announcement
about
during
it
the
just
commercial
after
from
they
Sean
came back from
Hockley,
break,
the ruling on
and
the
then they
field
took it back in
stands.
just a second.
I would like to know what Harmon did other than try and go and make
So
a
this
play.
is what they
All
show
he
you
does is
on the
jump up
TV
in the air
broadcast.
right.
to
but
try
pass
and catch the
interference had already
football. The
happened.
defender
Yes,
runs
that has
through
already
him,
happened in the
and they call
TV broadcast.
pass an
That could have been
offensive
defensive
pass interference.
too, because
And that's what they were
defender
arguing. Is that
wasn't going for the ball.
That's a bit
That's what they were
confusing to
arguing.
me.
Was that it wasn't.
This happened in the Chicago
To
game.
Jay
last week.
Gruden as well.
Jim
I
Miller
mean-
was talking about it a little bit, and they had a
That's
defensive
amazing.
pass interference call, and they challenged it. And in the replay, you clearly saw defensive pass interference, but you also saw offensive push off just before
Oh.
the ball got there, and that was pretty blatant as well.
They also
And
state in a follow-up
they
tweet.
upheld the call, and and they assessed the penalty. But in my mind, what they should have done was it's pass interference that's being challenged, so pass interference against either one. It should have been, in my mind, offsetting penalties. Replay the down, and go again.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of those unintended consequences that they always talk about.
Yeah.
Because to me, that would have been the fair thing to do. Call offensive pass interference in addition to the defensive pass interference.
Yeah.
Offset the penalties, replay the down.
That definitely should happen. But also, I see this here. I didn't see this earlier. Coach's video, not available on the game broadcast, showed that number 35 for Cincinnati was off balance after the contact by Washington 13, which is why the offensive pass interference call was called out the field. Oh, don't want to go to Twitter. But if you could see that he was clearly off balance, then okay, that's fine. But to me, it looked like
It looked like he pushed off
yeah.
to
So
me. So the controversy, I guess, is that the TV audience didn't see it,
yeah,
not that it didn't occur.
yeah,
And now they've seen it. But I do think they should have called it on the other end of the play as well, because the defender impeded the receiver's ability to get to the ball.
However, the NFL and the officiating crew is saying that no, he wasn't impeding. He was actually stumbling and had lost his balance. Therefore, it's not pass interference on the defense.
Okay.
Yeah. So Chargers.
I wouldn't want to hang my reputation on that.
I wouldn't want to hang it on there either.
But okay.
So I see.
That's what you got.
I see Chargers safety Derwin James has been diagnosed with a stress fracture.
Yes, I heard that this morning, and it just ruined my day. I'm just hoping it's not too bad.
Yeah, I don't think the way they made it sound on here is it's not too bad, but it's not. It's not that great.
Well, I watched him yesterday. He didn't play, but he was on the sidelines, and he wasn't limping. I had no indication there was anything wrong with him yesterday.
Yeah.
So hopefully it's not too bad. Stress fractures, though, they're very touchy. You never know what's going to happen with those.
Exactly. Sometimes it's just better to put it in a boot and let it go, let it heal itself. Hopefully they do that, but if he was walking around without a boot or anything yesterday.
Yeah, no, he had absolutely no indication that there was anything wrong.
Oh. Russell Okun announced in July that he suffered a pulmonary embolism.
Yes, that happened a couple of weeks back.
Yeah.
This one I'm worried about. As I have mentioned before, my wife is a nurse practitioner, so whenever these medical things come up, she's the first one I talk to. And I explained to her the situation, and she's like, "Well, he's on blood thinners, and that's because blood clots are associated with that embolism, and in order to dissolve them, you have to go on blood thinners." And you obviously can't play football when you're on blood thinners, because if you get cut, you could bleed to death.
Yeah.
So he won't. They say he's going to be out 6 weeks.
It'll be more like 8.
I'm thinking, and I said that to her, and she kind of rolled her eyes a little bit. There's no real way of telling, but this could be a much more significant period of time than they're letting on.
Yeah, it could be. It depends on the size of the clot.
Yeah, and I spent a lot of time consequently looking at that left tackle position yesterday during the drills, and they've got a guy named Tony Scott playing the left tackle right now. He's backed up by Trey Pipkins, who was our 3rd-round draft pick. And Scott looked pretty. I mean, he was playing against the New Orleans, ones, and he held his own. I had no complaints whatsoever about it. So we'll see what happens as we move forward. The big talk, of course, is, well, why don't we trade Melvin Gordon to Washington for Trent Williams?
Oh God,
and
no. You don't want to do that.
That would be good for us. I don't know that Washington wants Melvin Gordon, but God, that would be a great trade for us.
Yeah, but if they were to trade you, Williams, right? They would probably want to put something on there as a caveat to if he plays so well or gets Pro Bowl. That
I'm sure it would be, it'd be even up swap, and then they'd, attach a third
that could become
to one side or the other, or a contingent pick to one side or the other. And I think Williams has a contract issue as well, but I wouldn't mind paying him as much as I would mind overpaying Gordon.
This is an interesting one. The Jets Darnold has been impressive in the first 2 games so far.
Yep, that's what I understand. I've seen a little bit of his play. I think the Jets might have something going, to me, to be perfectly honest. We're not going to see Le'Veon during the preseason. I heard that on the radio this morning. And normally speaking, I don't have a problem with anybody not playing in the preseason, because there's no upside to it. The only thing you can do is get hurt.
Yeah.
So
much like Aaron Rodgers' advice to Lamar.
Yeah. Why do it? Why do it? But obviously somebody has to play. Le'Veon was a little different for me, though, since he didn't play he hasn't played in over a year. Maybe getting a couple of pops wouldn't be a bad thing for him. Although I talked to a Jets fan this morning who said he was watching camp the other day, and somebody came up and just leveled him. drilled him right into the ground. And he popped up and he looked over and he shook the guy's hand. He said, "Thanks, I needed that." And went back to the huddle. So
That that's what I would hope to hear from a professional, even if they aren't the most professional. Um, the fact that they can take a hit and not get in practice and not get upset. You know what I mean?
yeah,
How often do you hear about those prima donna receivers or even running backs that take a hit and then try to chew the defender out for giving them that big of a lick?
Yep.
Speaking of licks, there was a hit in the Seahawks game that I thought was amusing. That the league actually came back and told the officials not to eject a guy.
Okay.
Yeah, one of our defenders hit the receiver as he was trying to catch the ball, like totally defenseless receiver. And it wasn't that he like intentionally tried to lay him out. He just both collided at the right time, and the physics made it look worse than it was, or as bad as it was, depending on how you want to look at it. But the fact that the NFL offices came up and called a meeting with the refs to say no, it wasn't. There was no intent behind it. Don't eject him. I thought it was actually a good thing for the officiating.
I like that. Yeah.
Was the officiating. It was sometime in the second half. I want to say late third, early fourth quarter. I'll try to pull it up on Game Pass and maybe I'll clip it in at the end here. I don't know how the YouTube is going to take to footages and things like that, but as long as I cite my sources and everything, I should be fine. But
well, it's not Disney. You should be okay.
Trust me, I know all about Disney. I play a video game on my free time that they technically only own because they bought LucasArts, but it's still technically LucasArts own subdivision that owns it. It's really weird how the copyright works with this. But every time they flag my video game play because I have the audio in there, I just unlist the video. I'm like, you're not getting ads off of my video. It doesn't count as a copyright strike against me, so I'm like, whatever. Nobody gets to watch that here. So, but not much else really in the news other than Avery Wilson suffering an ACL.
Yeah, there've been a couple of injuries, but not a lot. And that's the good part about the way they're practicing now. People aren't getting needlessly hurt in, like even yesterday it was full contact, but nobody went to the ground.
Yeah.
There was one hit on Tyron Taylor that put him down for a few minutes, but I think he probably got popped in the head or something, popped in the eye. But he was back playing again in another couple of minutes, so he was okay. But it's just preseason injuries just are so devastating.
Yeah.
Just psychologically and emotionally, they just take the wind right out of your sails.
Yeah, so is anybody surprised by the Patriots in week 1 of the preseason going 31-3 against the Lions?
No.
Although I will admit the Browns 30-10 over the Redskins was kind of surprising. Again, preseason, I get it.
I know. I don't even look at the scores in preseason and that's why I don't understand. People here in Vegas bet on preseason games.
What's the point?
It's just luck. There's roll the dice. It's the same. You got the same odds of winning if you're betting on a preseason game. You might have a bust out person. You might have just a total dud all the way through the game. There's just no rhyme or reason to how to pick a preseason game other than I like the color of their uniforms. Many fantasy football leagues have been won that way. I understand, yeah. But still, why would you bet on it?
Well, Case Keenum for the Redskins in that game actually did pretty good. 4 of 9, a little under 50%, but 60 yards and a touchdown with no interceptions. How much of that is him and the receivers just not on the same page in the first preseason game? Dwayne Haskins wasn't too bad, 8 of 14, but instead of TDs, he had 2 interceptions. So
yeah, and those are the 2 worst throws he made. I did see his series.
Yeah.
Those were the 2. One was a really bad decision. One was a really bad throw, and but the other stuff he looked pretty good.
Baker Mayfield looked pretty good too. It's 5 of 6, 77 for 100 yards in his series.
Oh, you said Mayfield?
Yeah.
Oh my God, the opening series in that Cleveland game when he came on, they had a penalty on the kickoff. Mm-hmm. He throws the ball off to the left flat, and the guy drops it. And the
Yeah.
announcers are already starting in.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
well, here we go. This is going to be just another one of those years. And then he goes 6 for 6 for 85 yards and a touchdown and just threaded them. I mean, shredded them.
Oh yeah.
He just moved that team down the field with absolute efficiency and precision passing and scored the touchdown and walked off, took his helmet off, and he was done.
Oh yeah.
The other one last week that was really, really impressive was Daniel Jones for the Giants. He
Yeah.
came in 5 for 5, 80 yards and a touchdown. And I watched that series as well. And 4 out of those 5 passes were incredible, including the touchdown. He threaded 2 defenders and put it right in the guy's
Yeah.
stomach. It was a great pass.
They had actually they have Jones at 5 for 5 for 67 yards and the touchdown.
There you go.
You have Alex Tanney, 14 of 19 for 190 yards and a touchdown. Kyle Lauletta for 9 of 12 with 116 and a touchdown. Eli Manning 1 for 1 for 3 yards.
Yep. Okay, sit him down. That was good.
Yeah, two of the quarterbacks ran each. Let's see, Tanney ran 1 for 4 yards. Kyle Lauletta ran 2 times for 2 yards. So
Yeah, and so the games again started last night. I caught a little bit of the Jags and the Eagles, but
Yeah.
not enough to really talk about it. There's more games, obviously, this afternoon and tomorrow, and the Chargers and the Saints are 1 o'clock on Sunday.
yeah, the Seahawks in Minnesota are at 5 o'clock on Sunday for us. So that'll be interesting.
So
Let's see here.
it's great, though, that we're moving through. We're already week 2 of the preseason. Next week, week 3, and then 2 weeks, and the season starts with the Packers and the Bears on Thursday Night Football.
And I say this every time that we talk about that opening game is like I understand the NFL's logic behind it and the reasoning for it. Oldest rivalry, the starting of the century mark for the league. Because how many leagues actually have the century mark? Major League Baseball and the NFL. That's about it. Maybe if you count anything in the World Cup or the soccer in Europe, then obviously you have a little bit bigger.
Yeah, but they were using decapitated heads in canvas bags back then, so I don't know that counts.
Oh, how about the Raiders against the Cardinals? Cardinals seemed to hold it up. Well, they were only down by 7 at the end.
Yeah, apparently Kyler Murray did not have a very good outing. I haven't seen any of this game yet.
I haven't either. Let's pull.
But
I'll just pull up his
that's
stats.
one of those games I want to watch because, with Hard Knocks and everything, the Raiders are an intriguing story. Regardless of what else you want to say about it, and I don't know that Hard Knocks has really been there. It's kind of a marshmallow Hard Knocks this year. They're not really chasing down, what's Richie Incognito really saying, and I haven't heard Burkett's name at all in the 2 episodes, and they're just kind of tiptoeing around this team instead of really exploiting the issues that they have and the controversy that they have. And there was a lot of talk about Antonio Brown last week, of course, and he had his own little segment. He showed his blistered, peeling, creepy, crawly, gnarled feet. And I was with my wife when it was on. I said, okay, look, tell me. And she goes, well, okay, if it's just burns and just blistering, okay, he might come back from that. But if there's any nerve damage, it's chronic. It's never going to heal.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. But he's back in camp now, having thrown his little hissy fit about the helmet. And let me ask you this. I don't know the answer to this question. Each team has 4 different uniforms through the course of the year. They have home and away, and they wear the same helmets.
Yeah.
Then they have their throwback, and then they have their color rush. And each the throwback and the color rush are different helmets. So I don't understand what the big controversy is in changing helmets, because you do it anyway.
It's the feel, I think, is more than anything.
Yeah, but he already does it. Unless the color rush and the throwback are the same model of helmet, that are just have the throwback design on them, or the color rush design. I'm thinking must be what the case is, because Brady had the same complaint. Only he dealt with it like a grown up, And
Brady dealing with something like a grown-up.
yeah,
Is that
okay, you know what? I hate losing my helmet. I wore it in 4 Super Bowls, which also means that he had another helmet in 2 other Super Bowls, by the way.
yeah?
um, so, but I have to change, so I'm going to do that. Aaron Rodgers did the same
Oh
thing.
yeah.
His complaint is he wants a single chin strap, and they haven't been able to do that yet. Because I'm sure that double chin strap is intricate in the, you know,
It
integrity of the helmet that keeps the concussion from happening.
it it is interesting because I've worn both the single and the double in my time in high school football, and I felt.
We were still in leather helmets when I was in high school, so
Wait, you guys had helmets in high school?
yeah, oh
I thought
yeah.
I thought you were before that. But I actually had the I
We did
had
have the decapitated heads in the canvas bag for the soccer team, though. So
oh, okay. Yeah, I actually wore both, and I felt more secure and safe with my helmet that had the quad straps. You know, the ones going this way and then the ones
right,
coming down. And I keep forgetting that you're not actually seeing me on camera because the way the system's set up. But it's but it holds your jaw better. But at the
yeah,
same
and
time,
that's
as a
all part of
quarterback,
the concussion prevention technology.
but as a
Same thing with
quarterback,
wearing
I
a
can understand.
mouthpiece does the same. Attributes to that same thing. And so to me, anyway, getting back to Antonio Brown, he's wearing different helmets through the course of the season. Now, unless they're the exact same model of what he normally wears and the one that he's, so madly in love with, um, I don't know that it's that big a deal. And I understand you put a helmet on, you get used to it, and it, just like your shoulder pads and anything else, but wear it for a week and you'll feel fine in it. It's
Yeah,
like getting a crown in your one of your teeth crowns.
trust me, I know. I'm going through that right now myself.
Yeah, it feels a little weird for
Not,
the first day or two, and then
I've
you
got a
can't
temp
even
right now.
remember where
Yeah,
it is. So
yeah. It's not that. I just think the helmet thing is more of just players not wanting to adjust. They've gotten used to a particular style of
yeah,
helmet, and honestly, as long as the helmet manufacturers make them to the NFL specs, I think the players should be able to, since they're the ones paying for the helmet anyways, they're paying for all their pads and stuff, is my understanding. Why
the
not
the
let?
players pay for their equipment in the NFL.
I believe that's part of their contract, if I remember correctly.
I have never heard that. I'm going to make a note
I
and check
I
that out.
I have heard that. I don't know that it's true.
I have a really hard time believing that it's true. I mean, they pay for everything else, but
Well, because a lot of times these players, when they leave a team, they take pretty much everything.
yeah, they'll take their helmet or take their jersey, or whatever. And I just assumed they gave them to them.
No, my understanding was that basically their first season or two they come in, but even if they don't, they should allow that. So that way, if you find a helmet that fits better for you and meets all the safety requirements, so like say Aaron Rodgers has a helmet that allows for the single strap that protects just as well as a quad strap with that particular helmet design, why not let him keep it as long as it's made to the paint for the
Yeah,
thing?
but apparently it doesn't meet those qualifications, and that's what the issue is.
Yeah,
So
it is. It is what it is. Um, I don't.
that's an interesting. I'm still intrigued about this equipment thing. I always just thought, I mean, of course, the undrafted free rookies and free agents and the guys that come in, during camp and they get, cut on the final day. I didn't expect that they would give them helmets. Imagine they'll give them a jersey. I mean, they give jerseys away like,
Yeah,
they all get new jerseys every week anyway. Um, but I can't. The helmet. I've always wondered what the situation was with that. If they could buy it, or if they just gave it to him, or whatever. But
well, it appears
I'm
I'm
sure if Tom Brady leaves, he'll take his helmet
appears
with
I am
him,
wrong.
and they won't mention a thing.
It
So
appears that I'm wrong. According to Answers.com, the NFL players do not pay for it. It's paid for by the team.
there you go.
Um,
Controversy solved. Stop
yep.
your letters. Stop calling in now.
Just
Stop
double
those
checking
tweets.
just trying to double check sources and stuff. Oh, oh, come on, you. I didn't go that far back. Uh, Nobody cares about contracts and things like that. All right, let's try. Who pays for equipment? Oh, health and safety. The official NFL operations. Hmm. You think it would tell? You think it would tell me here who does it? But
Yeah, no, I'm sure the teams pay for that. Look at the spread they put out at lunch and
yeah.
breakfast and everything else, and
Oh yeah.
they don't charge for any of that stuff. And
But this.
everyone I know that's ever played in the league has always given away jerseys. Um, so I got to think
Yeah.
that
Yeah. Oh, and
that's the
I'm
case.
willing to admit that I am wrong. So it's all right.
So what else do we have?
I don't really have a whole lot more unless there's something else that you want to talk about specifically.
No, I'm pretty good. Like I said, it was pretty exciting watching training camp yesterday. They got a nice setup for the Chargers down in Costa Mesa, and they're in the process of building another facility that I think is going to be completed next year. That'll be their practice facility. I actually drove by the Raiders practice facility here in Vegas a couple weeks ago,
Oh yeah.
and that's the framework is up, and it's going to be a giant indoor facility. It's probably 60 feet high, and they'll have that indoor facility, and then I'm sure they'll have an outdoor fields as well. But at this time of year, it's 100 it was 110 here today. Um, you're not going to be outside practicing. So
110. That's lightweight for you guys. I thought.
this has been a pretty mild summer here. I have to say, I have not seen it over 112 all summer. And 2 years ago, it was in 120, 121, 122. So it's been a really lovely summer here in Vegas.
Yeah. So Charlie Casserly put out a article today. Um, 3 things fans should pay attention to in the NFL preseason. And first he goes into what GMs are actually looking for. But then they have what fans should be looking for. Number 1, how your team's starters play versus another team's starters. And in 1982, the Redskins went 0-4 in the preseason, but our starters played extremely well when on the field. Our team was either tied or ahead each time our starters left the game. We went on to win the Super Bowl that year.
Yep.
Progress of second-year players. In year 2, players should have a good understanding of the system. High draft picks should be solidifying starting positions if they haven't done so already. Unproven players must continue to earn roster spots and, beyond that, meaningful playing time. Third thing, position battles. Position battles can always be dramatic, but they aren't always a bad thing. They stem from an abundance of depth on a certain position. This is a good problem to have. Unfortunately, this can also be the case if no one has done enough to earn the starting spot. This is not the most ideal scenario. Either way, watching and learning how particular players and positions, especially those highlighted in the press, might help you further understand why certain coaching decisions are made. And kind of a bonus here, don't pay attention to the preseason records.
Yeah. Well, the Browns were 4-0 the year they went 0-16.
Yeah, I think the Lions were that.
I think the Lions were 4-0 as well when they went 0-16.
Yeah.
So it's that's why I said I don't even pay attention to the scores.
I'll pay attention to the scores because it'll give me an idea of how the teams overall are doing. Like seconds versus seconds is still a good thing because it gives you an idea how well the players are.
Absolutely.
Because if one team's seconds is dominating another team's seconds, either one team is really, really good or one team is really, really bad in depth.
Very true. Very true. But if you're in the fourth quarter and you give up 2 touchdowns because the guy that's going to be working at 7-Eleven was beat by the UPS guy, it doesn't really matter.
It does not. But like I said, I love watching that 4th preseason game because that's the one where you get to see the on the bubble players trying to fight it out, and you know who really wants it if they are out there just laying good hits, but that aren't causing penalties and things like that.
Yep. So. The potential Terrell Davises.
Yep. Or the eventual guys that do well enough to get called up from the grocery store like a Kurt Warner.
Yep.
So, but I don't have anything else today.
All right, so we got the rest of the weekend for the week 2 of the preseason. That's going to be fun.
Yep. Up
and
next
may all of your teams look efficient and look capable, regardless of the outcome of the game. And we'll know a little bit more next week in terms of how we're moving toward opening day and I'm anxiously watching the Indianapolis Colts because we open against the Colts on opening weekend, and to see if Andrew Luck is going to play or not. It's not looking like he will.
No, it's not.
So
Yeah, I'm
I
hearing it's kind of iffy right now with him.
yeah,
But
so I ran out and I put my bet down for the opening weekend because it's Chargers -3, and if it, when it's announced that Luck isn't going to play, I'm sure that number will go to 6.
oh yeah,
And I wanted to get my bet in early.
so that way you get the
So
-3.
yeah, so there we go, and they're playing in Los Angeles. So
Yeah, I'm the preseason game I'm looking forward to besides the Seahawks this week is the Giants. I want to see how Jones does against the Chicago Bears. Might pop that
that's
on
going to
before I
be
start my
that's going to be a really interesting situation. I'm kind of seeing the Kurt Warner, Eli Manning scenario
Mm-hmm.
in this. The difference being that Kurt didn't have the legacy that Manning has in New York, but I can absolutely see mid-season. We were talking about this on one of the other shows I do, an over and under of 8 games before Daniel Jones comes in.
Over
And
under
I
big
said,
games.
if they're 3-5, Jones is coming in.
Oh yeah,
So the over under there is 8 games, and we'll see how that all works.
I wouldn't be surprised if they're 1-4 if Jones doesn't come in at that point.
Yeah, it could be. Then
It
you'd
all
be
depends
under
on
8,
how
and you'd
Eli's
win that
doing
bet.
with everything.
How's what?
It all depends on how Eli's doing with everything. If Eli's playing solidly and it's say the defense or the offensive line particularly not doing enough, like he's getting the ball off, the receivers are catching it, making Eli look good, he would stay in. But if it's Eli's playing terrible and that's why they're losing,
Did he sign a 2-year extension this year?
I don't know. Let me see if we got.
I don't think this is. I think he has another year on his contract after this year.
Let's see. Here.
Because nobody talks about him when they all talk about the guys that don't, which is Breeze, Brady, Rivers. Roethlisberger got a deal, and I think Eli got a deal for another 2 years. So he's got another year on his contract. Interestingly enough, today they announced that Rivers won't. They're not going to talk about a contract extension until after the season.
Right, I saw that too,
And it makes perfect sense to me. Brady's in the same situation. From what I understand, Brady has a contract agreement, but they're not going to sign it until after the season.
yeah,
Because, he could win another Super Bowl and quit. He could just say, you know what? I wanted to go to 45, but I made it to 42. I can't go another season and walk away. And they don't want to be tied to a contract like that if that's going to happen. And
yeah.
he'll be a free agent for 30 seconds if they even get that far. And they'll sign it. And same thing with Rivers. Rivers isn't going to go anywhere else. He's got 9 kids, for God's sake, in Poway. He's not going to go play for Tampa Bay or something like that. So,
this year
there's no urgency to make that happen in my mind.
Yeah, it doesn't look like Manning signed anything this calendar year, anyways.
Okay, I think he still has a year left on his contract, but I could be wrong.
If he has a year left, then I can see him not signing another one with them, and he may just bow out gracefully.
Yeah.
However, he may go to another team and try to fight.
Well, and it's interesting because of those 3 guys that were all drafted at the same time: Rivers, Roethlisberger, and Manning. Manning's the only one that anyone talks about running out of gas. Everybody looks at Rivers and Roethlisberger and says, "Oh God, no, they're still going strong. You don't have to worry about them." But Manning's the one that everyone is questioning the decline.
Okay, I don't know if we'll actually discuss this during the podcast today, but you got to read this. This is pretty funny. NFL head coaching jobs: who's safe and who's on the hot seat? Okay, and Belichick's is the best.
He's on the hot seat.
No. His position is safer than a union dock worker with connections. Because the man could lose 145 straight games over the next 9 years and still have an above 500 record with the Patriots. I thought that was pretty funny. But I guess it's ranking whether they are or not. Okay, so these are the guys who feel good. All right. Newbies. Seat probably warmer than other.
I think the guy that's the hottest is Jay Gruden, isn't it, in Washington?
Yep. Number 32. and then Pat Shermer and the Giants, followed by Doug Marrone. Matt Patricia was only there. He's only been there, what, one season?
1 year, yeah, I know.
That's stupid.
Those guys, the 1 and 2 year guys, have got to be like in the middle of that pack.
Well, I mean, I can understand like a Jake Gruden, who's been there, what, 3 years
Yeah,
now?
Gruden's been there, 5 or 6 years. And
Shermer's been there a while. Marone's only been there, what, 3 years, I think?
Yeah, but
2, 3 years.
Yeah.
But Patricia,
he hasn't done much.
Yeah.
They've not been a very productive 3 years.
Yeah. So this will be an interesting one. I'll probably throw this in the tag and maybe use it as a discussion point. Maybe that's what we should do, is maybe get the football heads to give us topics to discuss as well.
Sure.
Because, I mean, I know the season will bring us plenty to talk about, but the next couple of weeks will be a little bit dry unless some major injury or some major trade happens.
Yeah, the trade or cut or an injury, and it doesn't look like people are cutting anybody. I mean, Chargers have made a couple of moves, but on the bottom end of that 90-man roster.
Yeah.
And then it'll be interesting to see what, if anything, comes out of Ezekiel Elliott and Melvin Gordon. What comes out of Trent Williams, and what happens to Jadeveon Clowney in Houston. And if they sit out, wow, you're going to just give away all that money because you think you can make it up in the back end. It didn't work for Le'Veon. He got more guaranteed money, but he didn't make up $14 million. And had he played last year and negotiated the same contract, he'd have $14 million in the bank that he didn't have before. So it's going to be interesting to see how that all works out. Gordon really doesn't have a choice here.
Yeah.
He has to come in he was on his Twitter account holding up a sign that said TNF, which is Thursday Night Football, which is week 10 for the Chargers.
Yeah.
And that's the time he has to come in to accrue get credit for the year.
Right.
But already his contract is rolled over to next year because he didn't show up by August 6th. And he's going to be in the same situation he was in this year, next year, except he'll be out, $3 million. So his only recourse really is to sign a contract, and that will pull him out of all of this trouble. But he doesn't seem to think that $10.5 million a year is fair market value, and that's his prerogative.
Yep. And that's the sad thing, is watching the players do this. Having them sit out, which is really their only option. But at the same time, they should be eligible to, or able to find a way of, they should be able to get a better way of having some leverage in negotiations for themselves,
How about coming in, playing your ass off, having a stellar year, looking at them when the only options are getting a new contract or free agent or the franchise tag. Crazy thought, I know.
But what are you thinking there?
Yeah, and it's not like Gordon has outplayed his contract. He's due for a good contract, and if he came in and played this year, had a stellar year, then he's sitting pretty, and then he can start talking $12 or $13 million if he wants to. And Zeke still has 2 years left on his contract.
Yeah.
And granted, I think he's proven his worth to the team more significantly than Melvin has. But he also hasn't been surrounded by as much talent as Melvin has. So, like yesterday, I didn't even miss him. We had a pretty substantial, run game against the Saints, and I'm totally, I wish he was there. We're a better team with him. Certainly, he's a very, very good, player. But, if he's not going to play, he's not going to play. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah, no, I totally get that, and that's the way I feel about the players. But at the same time, being in a union myself, where I am vastly underrepresented as a particular union employee, I have no true leverage when it comes to negotiations with my company. That being said, the players have much more capability by playing their asses off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I understand both sides of the argument. I guess is the best way I'm trying to say this.
And granted, you don't have the injury possibility, and in a normal circumstance, whereas
Well,
every time he steps on the field, he does,
yeah.
and and that's something you have to also consider because you could be Alex Smith and suddenly you're never playing football again.
Well, that is kind of a misnomer. I do work retail with heavy objects or heavy stacks of fluids, sodas in a very small space, and some of my coworkers like to pull from the middle of a rack that's up to the ceiling, and not fill that back in, so the stack's not exactly stable.
Okay, well that's human error.
No, it's a repeat
and
offense.
lack of common sense.
It's a repeat safety offense that I have to that me and my boss have to harp on them with me being the safety coordinator.
But I take it you're not actually comparing that.
No, not really.
Every single play of every single game.
No, not at all. I know better than that.
Because when I get up from here, I have to walk down the stairs. And God knows what happens when I get on those stairs. 15 years ago, I used to just get in the pool. Now it's an adventure.
Yep. I totally understand that.
So.
All right. So I think we can call it from here. Nice.
All righty. Very good. Thanks to everybody. Thank you so much for listening. And go whoever your team is.
Yeah, go Seahawks. Screw everybody else.
There you go.
Hope everybody has a great week. Let us know what you think. And by all means, like, subscribe, and share this wherever you can. Twitter, Facebook, whatever you want to do. So have a great day.